All right, so we are picking up on page 140 with Janelle Battle. We have heard from her before. She's the one that's obsessed with Devin. She feels that she's sweet and beautiful on the inside, but she doesn't like the way the outside looks. But some of the other guys seem to think she's cool and possibly even pretty, so maybe it's a self confidence issue on her part. So let's pick up on page 40. Jojo asked me to marry him yesterday. When Tyrone heard me telling Lupe that, he laughed his head off. Jojo is 8 years old. He's one of the kids I tutor at the public library. I was there yesterday helping him prepare for a math test when he suddenly cocked his head, looked up at me, and said, "Miss Janelle, you're the most beautifulest lady on this whole planet." Thanks, Jojo. I've been thinking, Miss Janelle, maybe we should get married. Just like that, out of the blue. Jojo sounded so serious it was hard not to laugh. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, though, so I pretended to cough a couple of times and covered my face. "Well, I'll have to think about that," I said. "But first, we have to get you into the fourth grade. Deal?" "Deal," he said. Jojo's such a cutie. I'm glad somebody finds me beautiful, even if he is just 8 years old. But maybe he's not the only one, though. Not anymore. The kids in Mr. Ward's class sure look at me differently these days. I noticed that at the last open mic Friday. When I first got up to read, I was my usual self. I sucked in my stomach, walked slow to make sure nothing jiggled, and tucked down on my shirt, like I could really hide my extra pounds under there. I waited for Mr. Ward to switch on the video and then started to read. I looked up from the page a few times and noticed kids in the front row with their eyes closed, smiling. Amy and Tanisha nodded every now and then, like I'd said something familiar, something they understood. Judy Ann, Leslie, Portia leaned forward so they could hear every word. Everybody really listened to what I had to say. Even the guys. Tyrone, Wesley, Steve, Raoul, Devin. They all stared at me like I was someone special. And nobody cared about the size of my body. Not even me. So she's starting to gain some confidence here. So her poem is called The Door. I've been busy lately, carving a door of words without a lock in sight. Your ear is the key that lets you into me. I am a secret I want to share. I swing my door open and say a prayer. Look around, take the tour. Fear hangs on the wall and shame sometimes. Emotional dislocation too, but I am brave in my admission. Are you? When no one is looking, I check to see if anyone else seems as scared as me, or lonely, or shy, or insecure. Is it just me? I'm not so sure. Is your heart like an onion too? Show me yours, I'll show you mine, we used to say. Your turn, peel away. All right, so basically, she starts out by saying she's carving a door of words, and your ear is the key. So, like, if you listen to me, I'll let you in. You'll get to know more about me. And she's like, I'm willing to tell you all about me. You can know that fear hangs on the wall here. Like, I'm full of fear and shame, but I'm brave. And then she says she looks around to see if she's the only one that feels the way she feels. Like she feels scared and lonely and shy and insecure. And she's like, "Am I the only one feeling this way?" And she says, "As I look around, I'm not so sure." Like she's starting to understand that this is a common problem for everyone. But she's like, "You know what? You tell me about you. You open up to me, and I will happily open up to you as well. I want to know who you are." So here's Tyrone's take. Janelle made it into the paper. I did too. In the group shot, looking all fuzzy. Devin was the only one got a close up. They just love them pretty boys. That's okay. I got my name in there. Mr. Ward brought the paper to school and held it up for the class to see. "Look at this headline," he said. "Student poets bloom in the Bronx." That's you guys. I don't know who was prouder, us or Mr. Ward. He brought a few extra copies of the paper for the class and passed them around for anyone who hadn't seen it. I'd already bought my own, though. I had to, especially since they quoted what I said about how our poetry gives us a release, how it helps us relate to one another. They said our stuff was energetic and rich in positive social messages. My mom's will frame this puppy for sure. I called the reporter this afternoon and thanked him for writing such a nice piece. I told him about our assembly. We'll be jamming, I told him. Why don't you come check us out? He said he'd try to make it. Maybe we can get us another write up out of this. You never know. So they're finally starting to see people that care about them, people that want to know about them, and they got in the paper for something good. So you're already seeing this transformation in all these kids and how they've really started to become something else. And Lupe, if you remember, she's the one that originally kept saying she wanted a baby because she'd feel that unconditional love. But she broke up with her boyfriend. And then she felt lonely, and then she was saying maybe she didn't feel like she needed a baby because her friend made it look easy at first, but it wasn't. All right, so here's Lupe's take. I went to Janelle's this afternoon to study. Of course, before we could get started, she wanted to dish about Raoul. Him and me had our first date over the weekend. And as far as Janelle's concerned, it's the biggest news since we all had our pictures splashed across the local paper. I know she's been dying to find out what happened. She called me twice, but I was at the library. She left a message asking if we planned on doing a love poem duet for assembly in a few weeks. That girl's crazy. I am looking forward to our last open mic Friday, though. So you finally went out with him? Said Janelle. Yeah. Well, well, what? I bite my tongue to keep from laughing. I know this is killing her. What did you and Latin lover boy do? We went to a movie? And? And what? We watched it and he took me home. And? And nothing. Now, can we please get to work? Girl, you are no fun anymore. All you want to do is work, work, work. Yeah, well, fun ain't gonna get me through this history or trig. Janelle stuck her tongue out at me and cracked open her history book, looking all disappointed. I balled up a piece of paper and threw it at her. She looked up, surprised, and threw it back, laughing. Then we settled down. It's great having somebody to study with, even though I do okay on my own. Mr. Ward says if I keep pulling up all my other grades the way I pulled up my grade in English, I should be able to get into a decent college when I graduate. That's what I'm planning on. I want to go somewhere out of state, somewhere away from home, away from Berto and his drinking buddies. I'll miss my sister Christina and her little Rosa, though, but I don't see them as much as I used to anyway. Too busy with school. I'm not sure what I want to major in at college. I know I want to do something with kids, though. Maybe become a kindergarten teacher or a pediatrician. Gloria says I still got time to figure out. Keeping my grades up so I can get into a good school, that's the main thing. Christina says I'm the smart one. I envy you, Lupe, she told me last night. I could hardly believe my ears. I wish I had gone to college, she said. Getting to college takes more than wishing. I can tell you that much. I've got an exam tomorrow, so I better put in an extra hour of study. I don't know what the questions are going to be, but I want to make sure I'm ready for whatever they throw at me. All right, so Lupe's already changed. She's no longer talking about having a baby. She has found a boyfriend that they seem to be respectful of each other. They've built a friendship. And she has dreams about going on to college and getting a job as like a pediatrician, which would be a children's doctor, or a kindergarten teacher. So she's shifted and has some more pride in herself. So open mic poem is called Imagine. I walk by a mirror, catch my eye, wonder at the universe behind it. Past the flashing eyes is a file for yesterday's sunset, dripping mango light, for Pappy's laughter tinkling in my 5-year-old ears. So many years gone by, for tears shed below a crucifix on my wall. I sort it all out, store it under been there, done that, and open a clean drawer labeled Manana, a place to store adventures I'm still learning to imagine. So I like it because she talks about how she's walking by, she sees her She's wondering what's inside of her, right? And then she sees a file for yesterday's sunset. And so this is like all the stuff she wants to file in her past. And she talks about her dad's laughter, and she can still hear it, and how she used to cry for horrible things that have happened to her, just laying in her bed crying. And she's like, but I'm going to put that in a file, like, been there and done that. That's the past. I'm moving on. I'm not going to let it affect me. And then she sees a drawer called mañana, which means tomorrow in Spanish. And she says that's where she's going to put it because she's going to store new adventures and be a new person. Tyrone. Something's different about Lupe's voice. It's still soft, but it's like there's steel running through it now. I don't think I'm making that up. Anyway, I know one thing for sure. I don't catch her staring off the way I used to. She's always looking straight up now, paying attention to whatever the teacher is saying, like she's afraid to miss a word. I see her running off to the library a lot lately, too. Something new is definitely up with that girl. So notice her confidence has changed, and other people are noticing it too. She's feeling stronger. Let's see. I would like to do one more today. And that is Deandra. Remember, she's our one that doesn't like basketball, but everyone thinks she should. It was an accident. I didn't mean to leave them out for my father to find. At least I don't think I did. That's what I told Lupe when she asked me what was wrong this morning. I was still upset about my father throwing a fit when he found my art school brochures last night. You'd think I'd stabbed him in the heart, the way he looked at me. I'm sorry you feel so bad, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've made up my mind. If I can get into an art school, I'm going. Mr. Ward thinks I have a good chance of getting a scholarship. We'll see. Mom says my dad will come around, eventually. I'm not so sure. Before I left home today, I slipped a poem and a drawing of Michael Jordan in my father's easy chair under the remote. That way he wouldn't miss them. I was planning to give him the drawing for his birthday, but after seeing those brochures, he looked like he needed a transfusion, so why wait? Maybe a drawing of his hero will make him feel better. Besides, doing basketball portraits is the closest I'll ever get to my father's dreams for me, so I might as well let him enjoy one now. I hope Mom's right, though. I hope he does come around. I'm just not holding my breath. So now Dad knows how passionate she is about art and that she's looking at going to an art college, and he is not happy. So her poem's called Self Portrait, a poem for my father. I've told you this before, but I guess it bears repeating. Love is not me being who you want. Your definition is a whirlpool trying to suck me in, and I'm drowning. Don't you see? Don't you hear? I'm gurgling, battling for air, wishing you cared about what matters to me. But you can't or won't. Either way, I dip into my imagination, grab a rail, and pull myself free. It's time, Dad. Time you stop telling me who to be, how to live. This is my portrait. You chose your canvas. Let me choose mine. So she's finally, in a way, roasting her dad. She's telling him exactly how she feels, that this is who she is. She's drowning trying to be who he wants her to be. She's unhappy. She doesn't feel like it's her. So she's saying, you need to actually look. You lived your life. Now it's my turn to live my life and be happy. And you should be happy for me. So Tyrone's input. I didn't get her first few poems, but I dig this one. The future's ours. Let us have it. That's what she's saying. That's what we're all saying. But I'm lucky. These days, my mom's ain't trying to push me in one direction or another. She's just glad I have one. I read her this poem I wrote called Dream about doing hip hop with my own band, and she started crying. My moms don't cry easy, so I felt bad. But she said they were happy tears. You keep writing, baby, she said. You're doing good. I love my moms.